Hi everyone and welcome to Club 2 episode 7 of Relegation Rescue at Sparta Rotterdam with me, the United City FM. So it's reached its conclusion really. We've got a one-off game today to keep ourselves in the picture for trying to get to this 16th place playoff. It's the best we can do now. Other than that, we would finish 17th or 18th and go down automatically. So the only bit of survival hope we've got is to reach this 16th position. And to do that, we have to win today. If we don't win today, it's done. And we play Utrecht, and they're sitting in 11th place in the middle of the Eredivisie at the moment. So you can see that it's not the worst game that we could have to try and save ourselves, but also that, you know, they have had a better season than we have, so, you know, it's still going to be tough. In terms of the personnel for today, you can see that the only person out is Bauer, who's got an injury issue, who would normally be in and around the first team squad. Other than that, everybody else is healthy. Let's just check in with the schedule and see how we've gotten on recently, and you can see it's been absolutely dreadful. That we've actually set a new record that came up in the last after the last game, that we've played 6 games in a row in the Eredivisie and we haven't even scored a goal. It's been 6 defeats in a row since those couple of wins in the middle of February, when we thought maybe this is going to be okay, maybe we can turn it around. Since then, it's been absolutely dreadful. No goals scored, quite a few conceded, and we still sit very, very bottom of the Eredivisie, and we've never really made any form of imprint into the teams above us at all. And I can't see why it would be any different today. In terms of what we're going to do about it today against Utrecht, you can see that we keep the shape just because it certainly fits the players that we've got. We bought players for this shape in the January transfer window, so we're going to keep the shape, but we are going to change into a controlled possession. We're going to try and keep the ball as much as we can and frustrate the opposition rather than counter-attacking on them. We're going to try and assert our dominance on the ball and see if we can actually keep it for long enough to frustrate Utrecht, I would suggest, and cause them some problems as the game progresses. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It's probably the last nail in our coffin, let's be honest, but we're going to play it out and just see how we get on. So the team is pretty much all there, other than Bauer, who's picked up a knock. Everybody else is fit, so that means that the team for today's match is Fabry in goal, Matthew, Benamar and De Bruyne in central defence, with Sanchez, Brute and Bruns in central midfield, with Abels on the right, and I'm going to switch Reichel on the left out and put Hammerleinen in instead, and then we've got Veldvik and 4 up top. And pretty much, as is always the case in the Eredivisie, most other team members are on the bench, 12-man bench. So let's get into this really important game and see what happens. So myself and my assistant have just tried to encourage the team, send them out there with some form of positivity and calm mindset. Whether it will work or not, I have my very big doubts. We're at home, which helps. We're trying to now control that possession and just see how we get on with that. A free kick comes in, and a decent header by De Bruyne, I think it was, but it went over the top of the bar. But a good effort on that free kick. And the first opportunity went to us, which was very, very pleasing. And you can see so far, it's been quite quiet. 1 shot apiece from each of us, now 2 shots apiece. And we've had a decent amount of possession, 67%. Maybe this is the way in which we get the best out of this side. Maybe it's too late, but maybe it's that controlled possession of just being able to keep the ball and frustrate the opposition. Maybe that's what we haven't been doing all the way through to the end of the first half. And that one highlight at the very beginning of the game was that free kick that came in and header over the top. Other than that, there's not been a worthy piece of footage to show in terms of highlights at all. But you can see in terms of match stats, we had 3 shots on goal. They had 5, so they did us in that one. But we had 61% of the possession, which is pretty decent. So what can we do about it? We're going to passionately say it's time for everyone to dig in and give everything they've got and just send them back out again. You can see that everybody's okay to just carry on in terms of their fitness, and we'll just go one last effort. Let's give them a shout out and say get creative. And then we're going to change from the balanced onto the attacking. We've got to do something about this game. So we're still in that controlled possession, but we're now in a much more attacking form of it than we have been before. Maybe that'll be our undoing, but we'll have to wait and see, because what else can we do at this point? We've got to do something. This is the last-ditch effort. And so far in the second half, we haven't seen an awful lot of action, but a chance for us to build up from the back in the controlled manner that we're now implementing. And so far it's done pretty well. We've avoided their front line into midfield, and then a very, very weak ball out to this right-hand side gets intercepted, and it's Utrecht that come back at us on the counter-attack through the centre and out wide right. And he rides a tackle, does he? No, he doesn't. But it looked like a fairly harsh decision. What's he given here? He's looking at the VAR monitor. I would suggest it looked to be outside the penalty area for me. But, you know, my eyes have deceived me before, so let's not count the chickens before they hatch. But here he comes back out again, makes the VAR TV symbol. And what's he given? It's a penalty. He's given a penalty kick. Just the final nail in our coffin. I was convinced it was outside the area. It wasn't. It was inside. Penalty kick to Utrecht. And 65 minutes in, they go one up. And again, we cause our own problem. It's always the case in this save. It's all been about players making poor decisions and getting things wrong at key moments and not taking their chances. And so we reached 70 minutes, and you can see that we're now 1-0 down. We've got nothing else that we can do other than we've just got to go for this. So how are we going to do that? If you give me 2 seconds to just figure that one out, and I will show you what I've decided to do. So you can see that we've changed shape in terms of we've abandoned the 3 at the back, gone to 4 and 3 up top. We're going to play route 1, just lump it up to those top guys and see what they can do. You can see also that we've bought Van der Volp, Mboyo, both up top, both on up top, and hoping that they'll be able to get something for us. And we also bought Reichel back in on that left-hand side. We're going to just change the player role a little bit. We're going to put Velvik as a target man and Mboyo as a deep-lying forward, just to hopefully win the ball a little bit and then move it on to Van der Volp, hopefully. That's the way it hopefully will work. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But we are just going to have to lump this ball into those 3 big guys at the top and see if they can make something out of it. So we'll OK that and then press play on that. And then we'll shout and say push forward. We're on very attacking. It's just all about getting that ball up front and seeing if one of those guys can get on the end of it and do something about this situation that we're in. And 88, 89 minutes gone, it looks like we can't. Time is drifting by, and there you go. Final whistle. It just flew by. No highlights, no impact on the game whatsoever. And we go out of this division in a complete and utter whimper. And it's been such a bad half of the season. And I'm absolutely devastated as to how badly this has gone. But writing has been on the wall for a very long time, hasn't it, really? I'm not even going to bother with the team talk. I can just, leave them to stew on that one. And there you go. This is pretty much the end of Relegation Rescue at Sparta Rotterdam. Apparently we were unwilling to experiment, even though we experimented. That's a bit odd, isn't it, really? But there we go. Each to their own. That's what the critics had to say. And Sparta Rotterdam has confirmed their relegation. And we go out of the Eredivisie. And I go out of the club, basically. Whether they wanted to keep me or they didn't, I don't want to stay here anymore. It's just been such a bad experience. Oh, dear. Here we go. The social feed changes for next season, whatever. And I'm unemployed because they've sacked me. Sparta Rotterdam sack the United City FM, and who would blame them for it? If we go and have a look at their schedule and just remind ourselves how we did since coming in at Feyenoord was the first game that we played. We lost the first 2, we drew 1, and then we won 2 games in February, and it looked reasonably promising that we could do something. And then look at that run. 7 games in a row, all losses, no goals scored whatsoever. And they just weren't good enough. and I wasn't good enough to find a way to make them good enough. And so here endeth another relegation rescue, this time at Sparta Rotterdam. So that's Augsburg in the Bundesliga, Sparta Rotterdam in the Eredivisie, both ending with relegation, not being able to keep them up at all. One day we are going to succeed at one of these challenges, the relegation rescue challenges. One day we are going to do this, but it's not this day, and it won't be the next series either, because we're changing it up slightly. And come back on next week, on Wednesday next week, for a brand new series. This coming Saturday in this time slot, there'll be a slightly different video. Next Wednesday, we'll start a new series. It won't be a relegation rescue, but it still has a rescue in the title. So join me for that, see what that's all about. Until then, though, thanks for joining me for this series. I'm so sorry that we couldn't get out of the problem that we were in, but I'm sure that it was quite entertaining for you to watch me lose my marbles anyway. But yeah, join me for the next series. Join me for the other series on the channel. If you haven't been with me for those, they're reaching some good points, so come and have a look at those. Until next time, though, thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that like button if you haven't already. Till next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.